okay, now that I have a lot of these parts plugged in, and I start working on my plotting, then it's actually easier because I know so much about my character and everything, so it's easier to think of scenes and how they would react. So I know she has Cloud as an ally. Another ally she meets was that weird guy with his arms coming out. He decides to go with her because he's already the black sheep, and once the water's returned and everyone goes back to the water, because she ends up defeating that snake thing, the eel lady, electric eel lady. And which is kind of cool is that what happens there, I've decided that she lures people into the water by what she does is she wraps her eel part of herself up into like a ball in front of her under the water, so it looks kind of like a rock, and she kind of looks like she's hiding behind a rock. So for onlookers, they see the top part of her body sticking out of the water, which looks like a beautiful woman, and her bottom part looks like a rock beneath her, like she's like hiding behind a rock or sitting on a rock, out in the water. And she like lures people in by doing this, and she's beautiful, and she says, "Come, the water feels nice. Come swim with me," and that's how she lures in. And it's like she lures Cloud in, and Skyla gets kind of jealous at this, and then she unravels her tail, her big electric eel tail, and starts like zapping the water and stuff, and zaps Cloud, and there's like this fight, and like Skyla uses her bow, and she charges her arrow with lightning and like shoots it at the thing and harms it, but she goes under the water and takes Cloud, and she asks that crazy dude that she met with the arms growing out of his head where they took her or where she took him, and he's like, "Oh no, you don't want to go down there, no, bad." He's like kind of crazy and funny, and she ends up finding out that she has a cave under the water, and so she goes after him, and hand dude maybe goes with her, I don't know, hand the coming out of his head dude, and she saves Cloud. So that's like a cool little scene I thought of, and that happens somewhere either with right here or right here, so it's part of the journey. And you gotta really want to think of a lot of scenes for your journey, because your journey is the longest part, so you want to think of a lot of cool things your character has to overcome to reach their goal, and in this case it's to get to somewhere. I don't know where they have to get to somewhere. It's all to get to the mountain, and so they have to go through all these certain paths and pathways to get to the mountain, to the gods. Once she realizes that that's her only hope is to get to the gods to save everyone, and Cloud decides to go with her, and Hand Dude decides to go with her, and she picks up a couple other allies on the way that I haven't thought of yet. I'm sure they'll come to me. But yeah, so she'll meet other allies on the way, and it's not that important. I don't need to think of all of them, and I could have a fake ally, or a fake opponent, someone that seems like an enemy at first but turns out to be an ally, and I'm not really know who that would be yet. And I can also have a fake ally, a friend that turns out to be an opponent, and those aren't really all that important to know right away, so I don't really need that to start plotting. I already know what my opponent is. My opponent is the Eater of Souls and the Soul Bringers. So they come out, they can like snatch souls of certain people, like even her friends or whatever. She has a bunch of other opponents that she meets along the way, like Electric Eel Lady is one of the opponents she meets along the way. Another one I've thought of that I know she meets along the way is the leaf nymphs, the tree nymphs. Anyway, they are made of leaves, so instead of being made of water, they're made of leaves. So all the leaves blow and form together to form these beautiful women, and they have the art of like seduction and sort of like hypnosis, so they can make men see them as beautiful naked women, whereas women are harder for them to make them see that. So Skyla sees like sort of beautiful women, but she definitely sees that they're made out of leaves, and she can't understand why. She's like, oh, they must be using magic on him or something, because Cloud can't see that they're just leaves. And of course she kind of gets jealous again because he's like running after naked women once again. And what the leaf people do is they lead their enemies to the man-eating trees. And there's legends, and we hear about the man-eating trees like in the beginning and stuff, and they're warned about it, like, oh, you're going into the forest, that's where the man-eating trees are, that forest. Like, whatever, that's just a legend, and they find out they're real. And so the tree nymphs they seduce the men and lead them toward the tree, and once they get toward the tree opens up from the ground. So it deroots half of it deroots and it lifts up out of the ground and forms like a mouth with the part that derooted, and all its roots are like its teeth, and then the mouth is like, what the ground where it's like the hole in the ground from where it lifted up. That's like its bottom part of its mouth, and it like makes a tunnel, and the leaf girls lead the men in there, and then the tree closes on them. But she tries to warn him and stuff, and she like, shoots her arrow, and then the leaf people, the magic is broken, and he really sees what they are, and then they disappear into leaves and blow away, and then the tree like shoots a bunch of its roots out and wraps around him and tries to pull him into the tree, and he's like cutting at it with a sword, and like blood squirts out of the tree. Man-eating trees have blood instead of sap, and anyway, so they end up saving. So that's another enemy. And you want to like think of little scenes like that, and then try to think of ways to strengthen the theme that it takes your inner courage. Like like that little guy with the hand, he shows his inner courage by going with her, because he's like a total coward and stuff at the beginning, but he kind of starts developing his courage before she does and becomes very brave. And so that's already kind of showing the theme, and I can do it where he sees himself who he is, like, wow, you're really brave now. He's like, yeah, well, I'm not really the ugly duckling, I mean, sure, they just didn't see me for who I am, so that's like a hint at the theme. Like, they just didn't see me for who I really am, and I do now, so that's why I'm strong. Or that's why I'm able to leave and do this with you. Okay, so that pretty much fills everything in, and I can just think of more opponents, but I don't need to think of more opponents to start plugging in this major part of my story. I can think of them as I'm plotting. So another enemy I thought of is the Tar of Anger. Originally I thought the Tar of Sorrow, but then I remembered Neverending Story, and I'm like, it's too much like Neverending Story, that swamp of sorrow. So I thought the Tar of Anger, and it's like this black tar stuff that seems kind of loose, and you can almost like watery. You can like walk through it. And she's like, oh, this isn't so bad, and they have to pass through this tar of anger in order to, continue on their journey. There's no way around it. And so, stop this scan. Anyway, so what happens is the more angry you get, the stronger the tar gets, and the thicker it gets, and then it can start pulling you down and take you, and eventually it can actually kill you. It can beat you to death. But you have to get angry. It feeds off your anger. That's how it gets thicker and stronger and starts to be able to punch you and stuff. And then you can start seeing like other people that are like stuck in it. I'm not sure if I'm going to show other people that are stuck in it or not, that have been killed or something. Anyway, so like bones or something. Maybe in the beginning, the bones on the ground, and they're wondering where how they died. So as she's passing through it, it kind of starts irritating her, and she starts getting irritated, and starts getting stronger and thicker, and starts beating her, and that starts getting her more mad, and then maybe one of the other characters starts getting mad, and in order to get out of this, she has to control her anger. And if she doesn't control her anger, this stuff's going to beat her to death, because you can't defeat the Tar of Anger. The more angry you get, you have to defeat it, but you can't do it by being angry. If you try to like start shooting at it and stuff, it's just gonna, you're not gonna defeat it that way. So, she realizes this, and like, oh, it's feeding off her anger. It's, she like sees that it's getting stronger as she's getting more irritated, and it's beating her. It's getting stronger, and she's getting more mad. And then she realizes that it's getting stronger with Cloud fighting or something. And so she's like, tells him, you have to stop getting angry. You have to calm down, calm your anger. And it's like slapping their faces and stuff, and you're making fists and punching them. And so she's like trying to calm down as it's like, and it starts talking and burping words out of its bubbly stuff, and starts calling you names and everything. And it starts doing that right from the beginning. Like once you're like halfway through it, that's when it starts picking on you and tries to piss you off. But it only can talk at first. It can't start hurting you unless you let its names get to you, to the name calling. So it just keeps trying to get in your skin, and once you start getting angry, it gets stronger and it gets thicker and can start beating you. Anyways, I just think that'd make a really cool, kind of funny, interesting scene. So Tar of Anger is kind of cool. Another enemy I thought of, it's not really an enemy, but it's an obstacle they have to pass, and it's like a pan type creature. He's got like, I think he's gonna have like goat-like legs. I'm not sure yet. Human type body with these like deer antlers. Anyway, so that's the end of this part. I think I'll just make one more part and finish it up with that one. I guess it's gonna be pretty much the same length as last one. All right, check out the link, Master Edit. Thanks.